Howdy humans, Timothy here. I just drove about an hour from Bristol over into Wales, chilling in a car park, and I'm going to go for a walk today. And I thought, well, why not dust off my GoPro, bring you guys along with me, share some of my thoughts at the moment and things that are coming up, things I want to talk about, and yeah, bring you with me. So thanks for joining. Hope you enjoy the video. So I'm in a little town of Llantony, spelt LL Anthony, in the Brecon Beacons. I think it's Llantony, how they say it. And behind me over there is Llantony Priory, which I guess was an old church. And I'm trying to tick off all the walks. Basically, this is my Brecon Beacons book. All the highlighted ones and a few others. Oh no, yeah, the highlighted ones are ticked off. And so I'm trying to eventually do them all. And so I've come to this one, number 20. I've not done it yet. The Vale of Ewas. So it's not a particularly famous or big walk, but that's what I love about these books, is you get some absolute gems of things that the less trodden paths that are equally beautiful to the, you know, the more known ones like Penny Fan or something. But it's a few days into spring right now. All the sheep and the lambs are out. Llantony Priory originated with the settlement of 2 hermits. So it began with 2 hermits 900 years ago. Leave the car park by walking between the priory ruins on the right and the church on the left. Go through the gate straight ahead. Follow the waymarked path across the field. So I really like these books. You can use apps like All Trails, you know, to find routes, and occasionally if I'm in a new area or I want a short walk or something that's easy to follow, I'll use the app. But really I do much prefer book and using your wits. It's like a problem solving as you go, and you've got a map and you've got the instructions, and between the two, one on their own probably wouldn't be enough, but between the two you always are able to solve it. I mean, I'm still here today, I've not been lost yet, you know, I've gotten a little off track, but I'm still here. So yeah, something I really enjoy about these books. Ordnance Survey, you know, there's probably 80 or so around the UK, and I've got, you know, 15 or 20, and I like to, whenever I go to a new area, get the book and start ticking them off. Here's a stonker of a day. The sun is out. As I mentioned earlier, the spring equinox was a couple of days ago, and I really wanted to get out. It's been a heavy winter, you know. I've not left the UK in over 2 years. I'm not complaining at all. Normally, you know, I travel a lot, and I think at winter I'd have gone abroad a couple of times, and since, you know, the COVID regulations and all that, I've just sort of chosen not to go, not to face that, and it really makes it feel all the better as spring kicks in, when you've had the full winter, the full English winter for the second time now, and the spring is really coming in nicely. It's a really nice feeling. It's gone from a quiet country lane to a single track path now. It really is quiet. Hello babies. So I think the route goes down this path and then up this hill and across. Nice worm coming out of him. Yeah. Turn left, head downhill along the left hand edge of the field by a wire fence bordering a stream on the left, later bearing right away from the field, going through a gap in a line of trees. Okay, so I'm not crossing here, crossing down here. cockerels, chickens. First bit of steep climbing. The valley reveals itself. Just climbed up onto this beautiful grass path. Still not a soul in sight. Not seen a single walker since I set off. A bit of mud. I think I'm gonna catch some rays and take my shoes off. So I wanted to talk about a few things when I came out, but I don't really know where to start or what to share, but I guess I'll just share with what's poignant to me, well, obviously, but what angle, because I've got my personal life, my health, my aspirations, my spiritual sort of practices, pursuits, my business endeavours, and practicing business ethics. I guess they're the main things. But yeah, I guess I'll start with the outside edge, because that was the last thing I posted about. So the foot course that I released, I think it's got probably about 700 downloads now, so thank you to everyone that's downloaded it. I hope you're getting on with it well. I know some of you may have got it and then saved it for a later date. That's cool, whenever it feels more apt all the time. But with spring coming out, it does feel like a time to start moving the body, start shaking and bouncing, and getting the feet strong for the adventures you might be planning. Like I said before, everything in that course has helped me to feel a lot more sure-footed, and I don't claim to be completely healed or completely solved. There is plenty of emotional stuff that is the true root of this that I'm still not close to feeling and expressing, but as a supplement it has helped me a lot to feel more excited for this year than I was last year, that confident that I can go out and do some longer walks, some more multiple day hikes. Just already in the few, I've probably done a handful of, or dozen or so of decent walks this year, sort of middle distance, and just my recovery on them and the feeling in my feet and ankles at the end of them is just so much vastly different from last year, that a lot of that is testimony to all the different things that I've put in that course. So if you haven't checked it out yet, and maybe in the future you want to look into foot strength, because the feet has muscles too. It's got many muscles and it's not just the strength, there's many other factors as well. It's how we use it in biomechanics and patterns, and but a lot of it is to do with, mainly a lot of it's to do with the blockages, I find, and it's to do with the unblocking that allows the natural design to start to function again. So a lot of that course is around that, which I don't think you'll see with a lot of the other programs. Not to compare, but I do feel like it's quite unique. But yeah, so there's just wanted to mention that again. You can check it out for free or pay what you feel. I'll leave a link to that below. Another thing I thought about mentioning, I've thought about it for a few days. I didn't quite know how to do it. I thought about doing a video specifically on it, but I thought why don't I just mention it in this instead. But obviously the whole COVID situation at the start of lockdown, I did my own form of protest, kind of jokingly, kind of not jokingly, but it was a different kind of protest anyway, with the mask on my genitals down around London. But obviously those that follow the channel closely will know that I talk about divine truth a lot, and I do believe they are X marks the spot, X on the map when it comes to spirituality and you know, healing at a soul level, at the root level. Intellectually, at least, I understand that. I'm trying, yeah, I feel like I'm coming to a more emotional understanding, but I guess that's kind of a subject for a different video. But anyway, I wanted to share. I'm not going to lie, I was curious of Jesus and Mary's perspective on the COVID situation and on the vaccine situation. I had an inkling of, like, studying it quite intently since COVID happened. Again, just at the level I'm able to process and understand it. It helped me soften to the situation and to try and focus on my own emotions around the situation. But I hadn't heard them speak directly on it, and they recently put out a blog post, or Mary put out 2, talking about it. One of them was Jesus' reply in an email to someone who asked him about sort of his perspective on vaccines, and they had their sort of input on it and what they felt they wanted him to feel about it. It seemed like, anyway, I'm not going to read it off or anything, but I'll share a link below, so if you are interested, if you've had your own perspective and maybe shared similar frustrations and aggression about it, like that I have, this being controlled by them, you know, kind of thing, feeling, and you wanted to hear Jesus and Mary's take on that, as a really good blog post, and I suggest you click the link below and have a read of that, and yeah, check that out. What a peaceful valley this is, other than the sheep and the sheepdogs. So beautiful. So we've been rising gently across here and up. So this route technically doesn't go to the summit of any of the fells nearby, but it does look like on the map that there's a trig point. I think that triangle means there's a trig point. So at some point coming up, I'm going to try and find it. Getting a little peckish now. Got a nice little apple. Just as I eat the apple, feels like I walked into an orchard. Although I can't imagine they're actually apple trees, but feels like one. If you've ever done a trekking course, it's hard not to walk and see muddy paths and look for what footprints you can see. Like, every time you see a bit of mud, you just like scan it, even subconsciously, like in the background. And you know, you see dogs, and occasionally out here you see deer, or sometimes goats or sheep hooves. I can't quite discern, but I do like to add a human footprint for anyone else who may be walking that path in the next day or so. That does the same, that might do the same. Yeah, I just like to put human footprints in the mud for them to be like, huh? See that? That's a big hoof. That looks like wild horses. Could be wild horses, I don't know. It's bigger than sheep. Hey buddy. Well, gotta say I'm a little bit smug. I didn't expect there to be wild horses here. And I spotted the footprint. And now I spotted the wild horse. And now he's charging at me. And actually I'm a little bit anxious. Hey buddy. Hey. Hey friend. Might be a bit shy. James Baxter. Anybody get that reference?
James Baxter.
James Baxter! James Baxter! So over here, again, I don't know if you can see, just sort of see Table Mountain, and then that nipple looking thing I think is Abergavenny, is a Sugarloaf above Sugarloaf above Abergavenny, and Table Mountain above Crickhowell. Gorgeous little path. On the map it looked like it was really, not really marked, like it was some really minor path, but they've fully made steps and everything. Good spot. Sit, taking the view, see if there's not a better spot up here. I'm very peckish right now, so check out the summit. Maybe we'll come back to that, or we'll find a spot up here. What do you see in the cloud? I see a fish. Or some sort of Mario Kart cart. We have confirmation. Triangle on the map. Does mean there's a trig point, as I suspected. Here we are. Always a bonus to get a trig point on a hike. Spring, you are so welcome. I love spring! I'm hungry. Judging by the sun, looks like it's early afternoon. Rice dish. If I call it butter bowl, it sounds more appealing. I just call it rice dish and no one ever thinks it sounds nice, but I enjoy it. Rice, sweet potato, avocado, beetroot, peas, and normally mushrooms, but I didn't have any mushrooms, so it's Asian veg mix. I feel alive again. I feel alive again. I feel alive again. With a view, rolling with a vista. Today's actually the last day. I've got a sale on everything and wear the rope, 22% off with the code SPRING22 in caps lock. If you wanted to check that out, no obligation to, of course, but if you are interested in that practice. All of this is downhill, so for the fun bit, I'm just going to dust off my feet a little bit. Mountain bike for the feet. The big tread for the descent down. The words of Mario. Let's go! One other thing I wanted to mention is I am in the midst of finishing rebrand for this channel and for my website and my business going forwards. So I was hoping to have it done by April the 1st, but personal life, I'm like in between houses and there's a lot up in the air right now, so I'm not trying to force it. But sometime mid-April towards May, look out for a rebrand, a bit more vision, somewhat of a parent or umbrella home, I don't know what to call it, for Way of the Rope and the Outside Edge, something sort of, but also encompassing everything I want to work on going forwards with the podcast, with the spirituality, because Way of the Rope as my business, it's just one side of me, one piece, but I think I want to build something that's bigger than that, and that encompasses far more than just that. So stay tuned for that in the next month or so. I have a home beyond the river. Beautiful. Yeah, another time it would be rude not to. Here we are, approaching the priory back at the start, and I can see the hill that I've been on all afternoon, and this morning I had no real connection to this landscape, and now I feel much greater affinity for this side anyway. At some point I guess I've got to come back and do this side, but it's just amazing how when you walk on the hills it connects you to the land, and that's the gate I went through at the start right there. The loop is complete. Here's the priory. Thank you for following and watching this video if you made it this far. As I mentioned, everything I talked about will be linked below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video, hopefully. See you then.
James Baxter.